how's it going everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. Today I have an update regarding the potential release date window of The Elder Scrolls 6, and this new information comes to us from a recent discovery that I made regarding an update to that infamous Redfall trademark. If you're not familiar with what Redfall is or how we can get a release date window for The Elder Scrolls 6 from trademark information like this, don't worry as I'll bring you up to speed as I talk about the newest, most recent information as well. And before I go forward, I want to say real quick to take all of this information with a grain of salt, because although this information is bound within trademark laws and therefore is legit information, these dates can be subject to change for various different reasons, which I will discuss in this video. However, since Bethesda doesn't like talking about The Elder Scrolls 6 much yet, or even Starfield for that matter, trademark deep dives like this offer us an exciting sneak peek into the secretive inner workings of Bethesda and allow us to have a window of time in which we can expect their future games. So with all of this in mind, let's not waste any more time and get to today's information. And we're going to start our adventure right here at the current and active and pending list of all of the different games, intellectual property, and even in-house software filed by ZeniMax and thus Bethesda Softworks and in turn Bethesda Game Studios. There's a lot of information on this list. People who have watched my previous videos should be quite familiar with this list, with how I break things down and with what information we can get from things on here. And that's just the thing, there are future games that have yet to be released on this list, and that goes for other game companies as well. All this stuff is wrapped up within international trademark law, and therefore any estimations or educated guesses made from information within these trademarks is legit. Of course, like I said previously, all this is subject to change based upon if anyone tries to file a dispute with any of these trademarks, which actually happened to the Redfall trademark, which is the one we're going to be talking about in today's video. If we search for Redfall right here, we can see all of the current and pending trademarks filed by Bethesda for Redfall. And in case you're not familiar with what Redfall is what seems to be the most likely candidate for the Elder Scrolls 6 trademark. There's a lot of information to back this up, including another trademark for a mysterious game that never came out known as Redguard. This Redguard trademark was not for an older Elder Scrolls Adventures spin-off game that was released like back in the 90s. This Redguard trademark was going to be for something new, and whatever that was going to be for was abandoned. And right after that trademark was abandoned, this Redfall trademark came out of nowhere, which seems to be somewhat of a change or a direct continuation of whatever Redguard is, and this, combined with a few other things, leads the community to believe that Redfall is indeed the trademark related to the Elder Scrolls 6. These trademarks wouldn't just straight up say the Elder Scrolls 6 Redfall, because Bethesda already has a trademark for the Elder Scrolls as a whole, so they would only need to trademark the subtitles for their respective games, such as Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, and so on. But with all that in mind, we can take the actual ID number of this trademark here and look up to see any more information that there might be to find. And some of you may be wondering why there are multiple trademarks here filed for Redfall. That's normal. Most games have other international trademarks like this one here for Canada, or this one here, which is a more broad international trademark, and then other trademarks are for specific merchandise or things that might be related to their games. Like you can see this one here is specifically for books and novels and downloadable fiction ebooks and things like that, as opposed to this one, which is for video games. It doesn't just straight up say video games, even though this one does say entertainment, but as I've talked about in previous videos, a Class 9 is a classification given to virtually every single video game out there, other than some online games, which get a little bit of a different trademark. Now, for those of you who are already familiar with that information, sorry for making you sit through that, but like I said, I wanted to bring any new viewers up to speed about how all of this works before I got to the new information in this video. So yeah, back to what I was saying earlier. Here is the trademark ID, and we can actually look up any new information regarding the Redfall trademark right now. This trademark is the main trademark out of any of these, so if we want to find any new information, any new changes to Redfall, to the Elder Scrolls 6, then this is a trademark we'd want to be looking at. And if we click this prosecution history down here, no, that doesn't mean Todd Howard is going to jail for all of his sweet little lies. Prosecution is just a legal term for all of the legal updates to the trademark since it was originally filed back in September 13th, 2018. The most recent update is the one we want to pay special attention to, and for those of you familiar with some of my previous updates to the Elder Scrolls 6 to Redfall and to other gaming trademarks, you might know what I'm about to be talking about right now, because as of March 25th, or actually March 23rd it looks like, the second extension to the Redfall trademark was granted, meaning we have yet an even smaller, more narrow window of time in which we can legally expect to see the Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever Redfall ends up being based upon the legal ramifications of these extensions. And as I said before I break down all of the dates and stuff, keep in mind all of this can be subject to change because someone else could file some sort of dispute or something against the trademark, or Bethesda or ZeniMax could just decide to abandon the trademark altogether, which would prolong the entire process of releasing the Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever Redfall ends up being. Granted, usually corporations don't want to abandon trademarks because money and time is spent filing and making these trademarks, so they would rather actually file these types of things on time. Now let's break down how we actually have a window of time in which we can expect the Elder Scrolls 6 Redfall, and on top of that, how we can actually break down how this window of time can be figured out. To do that, we need to click on the documents up here, and here is the associated documentation related to that trademark second extension that we just looked at. You can see this document right here says that the United States Patent and Trademark Office issued a notice of allowance on July 9th, 2019, which is my birthday. Not literally July 9th, 2019, but July 9th is. But anyway, on July 9th, 2019, for my birthday, the US Patent and Trademark Office issued a notice of allowance, meaning as of July 9th, 2019, ZeniMax and thus Bethesda had 6 months from the time of the notice of allowance to actually produce a game or product related to the Redfall trademark that is ready to be sold on the market. If they don't do that in that amount of time, they have two options. The first option is either the trademark gets abandoned, or the second option is they can file up to 5 6-month extensions, meaning they have 5 extensions, each extension being another 6 months, to give them more time to finish whatever the Redfall product is. The US Patent and Trademark Office has these laws in place to prevent corporations from just owning names to potential products, because that would be kind of shady and annoying. And down here you can see some of the stuff that I was just talking about. The applicant must continue to file extension requests every 6 months, calculated from the date of the notice of allowance. And that is just what I was talking about. That is how we can calculate a window of time in which we can expect to see the Elder Scrolls 6 Redfall if the Elder Scrolls 6 is Redfall. Because like I said, Bethesda would want to release the Elder Scrolls 6 before this trademark would be abandoned, which means the Elder Scrolls 6 could be released anytime from now up until the very last day of the 5th extension. And obviously the Elder Scrolls 6 probably isn't going to come out now or anytime soon, which means we have to add basically 5 months onto July 9th, 2019. Now Bethesda is on their second extension for Redfall, which means 2.5 years will be added on to the date that this extension was approved, which was March 23rd, 2020, about a week ago from the time I uploaded this video. That means 2.5 years from about now, we should expect to see whatever Redfall is, only that doesn't seem very feasible, because 2.5 years from now would be about December or November of 2022, which would be great if the Elder Scrolls 6 would come out by then, but we have to keep in mind that Starfield is going to be the next major single-player RPG game released by Bethesda Game Studios, and there usually is always more than 2 years between releases of Bethesda Game Studios' major single-player games. I highly doubt that, less than 2 years after the release date of Starfield, we will end up getting the Elder Scrolls 6. So that brings us to one of two places. Either Redfall is definitely not for the Elder Scrolls 6, which there's a small chance of that, but it would still be a big surprise based upon all the evidence that I mentioned earlier in the video. Or two, Bethesda is going to let this trademark get abandoned or expire eventually, and then they'll just roll the dice and pay all of the money and take the time to file a new one, and that new Redfall trademark, or whatever it ends up being called if they change the name, again, like they originally did from Redguard, will be the hopefully final trademark before they release the Elder Scrolls 6. Now there might be a lot to take in here for those of you who aren't in the know with how all of this might work, or if you're not familiar with my previous videos like this, but the quick summary is that based upon the legal ramifications of trademark filings, and based upon a lot of research and the most likely trademark for the Elder Scrolls 6, Bethesda seems to have 2.5 years to release the Elder Scrolls 6, otherwise they're in danger of losing the rights to the Redfall trademark, meaning they would have to pay more money and take more time to hopefully keep the same name for the Elder Scrolls 6 in order to release it at a later date. I've always said I expect the Elder Scrolls 6 to come out in 2024, because I expect Starfield to come out in 2020. I still do expect Starfield to come out in 2020. So with all that in mind, my hypothesis is that I do think this Redfall trademark is for the Elder Scrolls 6, but I don't think this Redfall trademark will be the trademark associated with its release. I expect Bethesda to keep renewing this trademark until they get the game out, which hopefully is by 2024, because if the Elder Scrolls 6 comes out anytime beyond that date, I'm going to be losing a lot of hype. Hopefully Starfield is great. I am hyped for Starfield, but I am a long-time Elder Scrolls fan, so of course I'm always going to be hyped for the next entry into that franchise. Now, you've probably listened to me ramble on enough about trademark crap. Hopefully I simplified this information enough for all of you to get hyped based upon these tiny little trademark filings, because even though they may not seem like much at first, these are some of the only bits and baubles of information that we get regarding the Elder Scrolls 6, because we all know Bethesda doesn't like to talk about their games until like the day before it comes out. That's all I want to talk about today, though. As always, what I want to know is, what do you think about all of this? Do you think that the Elder Scrolls 6 is related to Redfall, and do you think that the game will come out sometime between 2022 and 2024? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet, I may get featured in a future video. If you want to stay in the know when it comes to the latest and the greatest gaming news, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss the latest uploads, and if you like the content, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. It helps the channel out a lot more than you might think. Be sure to follow me on Twitter for the latest channel updates. Come over to the community Discord chat server where there is always an awesome and active conversation and some speculation taking place. If you want to get some awesome Skullzi merchandise, be sure to check out Loot Drop over on Teespring, and if you want to have your hand in providing future content like this and getting access to unique and awesome awards, then consider subscribing to the channel over on Patreon, or join the channel here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all of these awesome things are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Todd Howard assumes direct control.
It just works.